The world is in a massive transition. Are you prepared? Hi, I'm Reverend Tracy L., and I am here to help you navigate through these uncharted waters. Many experts told me it was not possible to repair, regenerate, and restore my body. I proved them all wrong. Isn't it time for you to reclaim what is rightfully yours? If your answer is yes, then I invite you to join me while I will help you embrace the new earth and unlock your unlimited potential. Let's connect every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Tracy L. Clark Show, as featured on Transformation Talk Radio. The old ways of connecting are done, so let's embrace together the new and unleash the superhuman within. Welcome back to our old listeners or new listeners. We are always live. Thank you, Olivia, my amazing producer. We have an incredible guest today, and we're not going to be taking a break, so stay with us for the whole hour here. Let's have some fun. And it's interesting. I'm going to try one more time to tell you about my book. Every time I try to tell you about my book, something technical goes sideways. We even had a hard time getting it up on Amazon. It's crazy. And the way I look at it is the words on here are very empowered. If you felt alone, left out, what's your purpose? Why are you here? What's going on? It's a great Christmas gift. Took me 8 years to even say I was going to write it. I wrote it in the last year. God, where are you? It's me. Amazon links. But I also aligned the words. So it's like having a private session with me as well. You will leave empowered, uplifted, shifted. And it is the holiday season. And we need a lot of that right now. We're getting ready for the big eclipse coming on Monday, which every 18 years are major shifts. So today I put on my happy dress. See, I got Santa Claus on my dress. It's my Christmas dress. And then we have great Henrietta today with great hair. We love her hair, but she's very smart, but we love her hair. Hey, girls, we got to have fun, women. Like, seriously, this is a time we got to celebrate each other, uplift each other. So don't forget to get the book, and we are going to have some fun. Henrietta, thank you for coming today and being patient with, the gremlins in my house and the internet today.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled. We've had great conversations, and it's been a pleasure because the reason I titled this show, like Living with Purpose and Passion, you and I were talking about that, of how your own journey of shifting, into where you are now, and sustainability and helping people. And thank you for everyone listening. Henrietta's in Vancouver, like she's out in the West there. So, she's up nice and early. So all of our listeners out East and around the world, you're all in different time zones. So thank you again. What was I'd love the listeners to know, what was your sort of that awakening that you were ready to live your life really from your heart? And this is what I love so much about our conversations. They go for hours. So guys, we will cut you off because we're live, but living from that heart rather than just from the head, and even in your business.
Mm-hmm. The heart space has been where most of my life has been living. And what I've noticed is that not many people do live from this space. How do you live from your heart? What are you thinking about when you're doing this? I'm really not thinking all too much about the things that are going on, And so for Tagalon, my business, apparel brand, it was really sitting down. And at the time I was in a transition, I was practicing my yoga every day. I was in meditation. I was going out for walks. I was doing my lunches, all the things that you just want to enjoy in life that you generally don't have time to do when you're distracted with a lot of things going on in your world. And so when I sat down and was really asking, okay, what is my purpose right now? A whole lifetime of experiences sort of flash in front of you, and it all just winds itself up together to create, for me at this time, this apparel brand. And it's bringing food and garden apparel and educating children about urban agriculture. So it's very fun and playful. The words are a little bit sassy, but it's a great place to be creative and resourceful in my knowledge and being able to share that with the community.
What I love about that too, and you touched on this, some things that people really forget, and why it's been downplayed in our society so much, is the creative aspect. And if people have heard any form of creativity, you see kind of has pushed down over the last 25,000 years, because it's that creativity that does open your heart, that does connect you to the God of your understanding, the universe, the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love so much about where you're on track with your life so much, is because this is part of that birthing. Like I talked about birthing my book, but this is where the whole world is birthing back to that form of connection and that form of in that heart space. And would you say when you shifted more, especially with your business, and you're like, yeah, I live from my heart.
Yeah.
What do you say to someone? Because I know what I say. I get this question a lot. What do you say to someone when they say, well, really, what does that mean? Because is it a feeling? Is it an action step? Is it how you get up every day? Like, how do you describe that to the people? Because you're working with children a lot too, which I love. And I just hope that I know one day we'll be able to sink some things there, because the children are our future. Like the children are going to change all that craziness we see out there right now.
Yeah. What I love about children is that they're closest to source. There is nothing in their life that has tainted them or jaded them or fixed their mind into some other way of being. So they are just fully being themselves, outspoken, presence, noticing. And for adults, that's a skill that we need to learn how to get back to, is understanding what is our own alignment look like. I can't tell you what that is or what that purpose is to you. But if you dial into understanding yourself more and understanding like, what makes me feel good? What feels good on my skin? What smells good? What looks good to me? And understanding those personal things, very, very personal things, then you can get to that place of purpose and playfulness and aliveness, creativity with so much more ease.
I think that's one of the things I love that you bring in your space is, as adults, you're correct. We have this, we're born with this, and then it's kind of beaten out of us over time. And we have to learn that childlike faith again, that childlike play. And I know you have your children and my children. And one thing I think that people forget having their children around is to look at them. Like, I love you said they are most connected to source. They are, because they just want to explore.
Mm-hmm.
They want to play. They want to have fun. And do you notice it now as you go further on your journey? Do you notice it's easier for you to embrace that childlike play and fun?
When my children were born, I knew that they were their own independent beings, and that there is something that I am learn from them. And as I watched them just be themselves, like, oh, this is it. I'm just to guide them and make sure that they're safe. But just showing up and just being that's such a much more pleasant gift. And when we look at like kids now, a lot of creativity is coming out, and you're seeing an old system of structure that isn't enforcing their creativity. So they create other platforms and places where they can be creative, whether it's in art, drawing, music, dancing, all of this physical expression of being. You'll see a new way.
Yeah, I love it. I love that now children people think they're pushing back, but what they're saying is your system is broken. Your system doesn't work. Your system needs to, be changed. And I love that. What do you find is some of the biggest joys when, you're dealing with them, with the earth and the gardens and clothing? What do you find some of the biggest, just beautiful moments that warm your heart when you're watching this?
Yeah, that all they want to do is touch the earth. They just want to connect to any sort of living part of the earth, whether it's a tree, climbing logs, looking at bugs, touching worms. They just want to embrace it and encompass all of that. So that's always interesting to see.
Yeah, it's always fun because I love watching children. We have a school out across from us, and they just put one of these like kind of, I want to call it a log structure, but it's got metal things they can turn. And I got stuck in some of the traffic, and I was watching these kids the other day, and they had no care in the world of like, is there a pandemic or what's that person's problem? They were just so engaged in being able to play and be outside. And I think this is a big theme. It really is for adults for 2021, is to really learn to detach from a narrative outside and learn to play. And what are some of the things you found that you do and with your clients and stuff to help them also understand it in your daily life to say, I don't have to play into that outside narrative. I get to have my own space within me and detach from it.
This is fun because when you are in a place of play and creativity and aligning to yourself, period, is that it attracts other people to your playground. It attracts other people who want to play along with what you're doing. So you'll notice in the playground, I remember as a kid playing in the forest and trees, and we would take a branch and like use it as a broom, and we'd start to make a little playhouse within these trees. Someone would come in and they'd be the chef in the kitchen. Someone would come in and like prepare a little bed space. But there's all these little bodies moving and doing their own thing that created something greater. And you get lost in the time. It was only recess or lunchtime, maybe a 15-minute break, but it felt like forever, creating our own little world and space where we're all responsible of doing our own things without thinking, this is what I have to do. And this is my one and only thing. You know, you move from sweeping the ground with a branch to picking the pine cones to make a meal, you know, and using that kind of imagination. Others will come in and join into your playground.
You know, I love that because it's so true. Like, I think now people get so caught up in, and this is my job and my stress, and I have to get this done and that done. And I always like to say it's this journey. Why, you know, you see over time, because of that energy of the slave mentality, which is leaving, right? You're the factory worker, go to work. It's hard, it's heavy, but now it's shifting. Yeah. Wait a minute, this is a journey. Like you said, this should be fun. So maybe you're sweeping the floors today, but maybe tomorrow you're singing a new song that you never heard of before. Yeah. And I always see it like this energy is shifting now to remove sort of these expectations and get way more into just the flow like you do when you're creating.
Mm-hmm.
Notice that too?
Yeah, I do notice that as well. And what is interesting is that when you know what it is that you're really good at, you want to help others get really good at their skill as well, if you can contribute it in some way.
Yeah, I love that now. We're working into this. It's been happening for a few years, but next year it'll really catapult again, where we'll start to come into this space of, like you said, like, how do I help you get to where you're going? And I know it was a big shift. And in the West, it's a lot easier out there for people to do that than here. And okay. I remember, because I go to when I grew up in the West of Canada, and people would always be like, oh, can I help you with your grass? Or who are you? Or welcome. Yeah. Or you're new. What do you need somebody? They were always giving you names of people that would help. And then when I moved out East, it was like, well, you want to talk to me? What's going on here? And I'm like, whoa, like it's still a lot like that. Like right. I have Marley, my new dog, who everybody will stop and talk to them. But I'm like, what about everybody that just needs a hand, you know? And this is that space that I think what I really see, and this is what I love about you working with Mother Nature and the clothing and the gardens, and your real passion is you're working like that too. Like, how do we bring these communities together? We're a community. We're not meant to be isolated. We're not meant to be separate and not knowing who your neighbor is. And was that one of your driving factors to set up what you have, is to say, we really need to instill more community because we can't do this alone.
Yeah. I don't know that at the very beginning that it was intentional, like I'm going to build community. But what I do know is that, especially in like farming or agriculture in smaller villages, that's all that there is, right? It is a community. And in order to be able to till the land or to farm, you're building a community around that particular thing in agriculture. So it made sense in apparel that as I'm building this apparel brand, that it's going to build community around it. It's going to attract other people that want to talk about how they can educate children about urban agriculture and getting connected to Mother Nature.
Yeah, and you've started to do that, to build that. And that is what's lovely, because it's true. We need to get back to sustainability and healthier foods and healthier clothes and, you know, everything around that. And it must just bring you a lot of joy, though, when you see how the community is building, because I know as building a community, sometimes it's everything I can do not to cry some mornings when I'm looking at these Facebook posts, or you're looking at people that are, how can I help you? What can I do? Or I've been there. Let me lift you up. Let me support you. And that is a must. It is a must. I keep saying it, but right now when I'm watching this huge energy shift, for anybody listening, if you don't have a community to help you or multiple communities, 2021 is not going to be a good year for you. And 2020 has already been very isolating, but this has been for your best interest for you to say, what do I need to do? You got people like Henrietta and myself and so many other beautiful souls that are not just the old. There's a difference too, Henry. And this is what I love about what you're doing, what I'm doing. This is why I love our conversations. There was an old thing, like, I'm going to use this. You know how right now politicians use, we're in this together. No, they're serving themselves. Okay. That was the old communities too, right? We're in this together. Yet you would never hear from the people leading the community, or they would just, how many people can they stuff in there and let you go? Yeah. This is what's ending, is what you've noticed, what I've noticed, what so many other heart-centered people are saying now is, no, we're going to show up with you. Yeah. We're going to guide you the best way we can and bring other people to help guide you. Yeah. And other people. And, this is what I love about right now. This is what I love about this year, is it's showing that kind of community. Like you said, so many places around the world, their community is farming. Their community is coming together and making a living. Yeah. And when you look in poor countries, and then people go, well, they don't have all this stuff. How can they be so happy? Well, because they have each other. Yeah. Was that have you noticed that this year, that's a shift from that old form of community, we're in this together, to the new?
Yeah, it's really interesting play on the words on that, because what I find is this old system of leadership where there is a person, a goal-oriented place of being that I must try to achieve to get there, and I'm not good enough unless I get to this particular point. Where I'm coming from is from a more value-based, where everyone is on their own journey, and no one is further ahead of you along this human experience than you. We are all in this together, and we're all guiding each other home. And so when you can understand that person is not ahead of you, that they are there they may have taken a particular path, but there's many paths home, right? And we get to choose our way of getting there.
I love you said that. I always say this, and somebody actually brought up the weekend, and she said, I always feel when I've gone here, she always felt like she was being talked down to, like, do this, do that, do this, mm-hmm. right? And she said, what I notice is so many of the new people that are like you and I come in, they're just like, well, how do we help you? Like, I'm just still figuring out stuff too, like, yeah. Like, we're all growing and changing and figuring it out. And yeah. I think that's an extremely important point you just made there. So everybody listening, because I know we get new listeners, old listeners, you're all over the world. Henrietta, when she just said that, please remember, like, we have people right now that are like, listen to me, I'm authoritative. What she's saying is that is coming to an end. We are just humans, and we are going to die, and we are going to leave. And, it doesn't matter what's happening. Your job is to just keep working with each other, walking side by side. Yeah. Walking side by side.
And how I know that this is true is that you can go back to Mother Nature, and she does it all the time. Plants grow together. Everything happens in a season, and you may be finding that you're losing people along the way, and that's okay. It's part of the growth pattern. We may be a seed that's growing, getting fully rooted. We're blossoming, we're creating fruit, we're wilting and shedding. It happens consistently all the time. And once you start to understand that it's all the same, it becomes cyclical, then you can feel that little bit of ease knowing that this is the time right now in this journey that I'm on. Where am I in this season?
I love that. I always say Mother Nature is so amazing. One of the things I say a lot, and you just remind me because I love it, is, we look at how in the past there's certain, institutions that have created all this separation. And we're not meant to be like that as humans. Because I said, look at the birds. The birds aren't like, well, you're this color, I think you should stay over there. And I think your breast of your, front of your bird is too big, so you go over. Like, they work together. They celebrate what each and every one of them has as a role. They're all here. Mother Nature's put, all of these beautiful animals to be in tandem, whether you're looking at, no matter what animal it is, right? They work together. They know their place. And just as humans, that's, I think, a great point you made, because we're coming back to awakening, to realize we're to be here working together to celebrate. We're not meant to be divided in any sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I love that bird analogy, because, you know, when they're happy and they're all sitting on branches soaking up the sun, what are they doing? They are singing. And is the bird concerned about the note that the bird next to it is singing, or the other type of bird over there, the noise it's making? No, it's not, but it's harmonious. It's beautiful. And that's actually where our music comes from, is hearing the sound frequencies of the crickets and the bugs and the birds and all the noises around us. Yeah.
And even listening to the trees. That's why it's so grounding. Like, even when it's cold, I know it's getting cold out, I always say to people, just get outside. Like, and if you're feeling discouraged, or you're feeling like, where am I? Just take 10 minutes. And I always say, stand in the woods and just look around. Like you said, it knows, like right now being cold, the trees know we go to sleep. So the branches, you know, they kind of wilt a little bit, the leaves come down and they go to sleep. They're not like, oh no, should I prep? Should I prep for this winter? They just have a nice flow, which I find, you must find this too with the big shifts you made, when you can take those moments and you really, really get real with what Mother Nature is doing, and go within, the stress literally leaves your body. Don't you notice that?
Oh, absolutely. Like, fortunately here in Vancouver, we have the mountains and the ocean. And so on a good day, late spring, you can literally go up to the mountains, ski, come down. You can go to the driving range in the afternoon and catch a sunset in the evening. Like, just being outside, there isn't any stress to be anywhere than just here right now. Yeah. I don't know anyone who's gone outside and been like, well, that didn't feel good.
Oh, I know if I've had some long days lately, just because right, the lunches and stuff, and I didn't get outside how I normally would. And so I was like, then I'm out of here. Like, I just dropped everything and went for a nice walk. And yeah, you get that pep back in your step, the clarity. I'd love to know, because you are with Mother Nature so much, can you share with our listeners, what's it like? Because I know it's like for me energetically, but in the soil and your hands on those fabrics, like, there's a difference. Don't you find in your vibe when you've been playing in the garden, even with children or adults, when you're watching them?
Yeah. There is such a, well, the word is grounding, right? We have like
healing properties. I don't know if you know this, but there was the hospital's closed now. I can't remember what it's called. It was in Asia. Anyways, they used to send people there to get better, and they closed it because they were getting better. But one of the things that made their patients do, so, you know, in North America, where we go to a bed, they feed you, they do whatever, you never get out of your bed, and you just, you know, some people love that. They love that. Sure. But this hospital, and it was based on these Qigong masters that were doing chanting, and then all the energy would leave the body and they would miraculously heal. And, you know, so of course we can't keep that hospital open. But you know what they did, which is huge for what you do? They would make all their patients go garden every day. Except obviously some of them that may not be able to, but the ones that could, they were made forced outside. And a lot of these doctors from Western came over and said, well, why are they not in the bed? And they're like, well, because you guys keep them in the bed because they like to be sick and they like to be catered. But if I get them outside, they're healing faster, they repair faster, and then they want to get out of here quicker. They want to go start their life. And they were all like always very ingrained in the soil. Mm-hmm. So you must see that, like, just like I said, like the healing properties alone that people don't even know or talk about in the soil. What have you found with that?
Well, we know that there's a lot of healthy microbes that are in the soil, right? It's good for our bodies. And then energetically, it is connecting deeply into the earth. So any sort of negative energy that's going on with us gets absorbed into the biggest container of negative energy absorption. And so that only naturally will make us feel better. And the fact that you're actually moving and connecting with Mother Earth rather than sitting still, you know, that feels good in our body to be able to move around and flex our limbs and grasp things and feels things. And there's even the texture of the soil. When you can focus in on what does that texture feel like on your hands, it's hard, it's grainy, it's soft. The earth over here feels different from over here. And then you do that with your toes. If you've ever gone to the beach and take your shoes off, like the sand is different in California than, in Florida. And it all comes up with the same end result of feeling grounded, of feeling a neutral sense of being. There isn't like an anxiety or a stress. There isn't a lull. It's just a liveliness that's naturally happening and occurring.
I love that. And I love that. What do you suggest for people that maybe if they want to get more into the sustainability side of what you do, what do you recommend for people that maybe are not in climates that allow them to really connect into the nature like you can where you are? So here we'll have all this snow. What do you say to those people when they come to you and say, how can I maintain this through the wintertime? Maybe greenhouses?
Maybe I was actually trying to think of like, what is the very, very base minimum thing that you can do? And it's honestly just go and sit at the window, crack the window open if you can, and get that breath of fresh air. When we're living in cities where there isn't green spaces designed into that, what is it that we can look at? We can look at the sky. We can look at the clouds that are moving. That will constantly always be there with you, unless you're literally living under a rock in a cave somewhere. But just look up at the sky and notice the movement of the air in the sky amongst that, the blue or the gray here in Vancouver. And it will change you. It will change the way you start to relate yourself to Mother Nature and to be able to slow down and feel a sense of ease if your days are generally chaotic or hectic and not, moving at a pace that you would enjoy better.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like giving yourself permission to have a timeout.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the big things is that in society, people don't give themselves enough permission to just take a time out. And no matter what time it is of the day, it doesn't have to just be a bedtime.
Yeah. It's so important to take time for yourself. And so we talk about purpose and why we're trying to find purpose in there. Just the intentional breathing itself. I know this sounds very simple and very basic, but we've got to get back to the foundation and root of it all so that we can start building again from that place of groundedness and rooted in ourselves. And it's just take those intentional breaths, just 3 breaths to yourself. It doesn't take a lot of time. No one's judging how you breathe. It's just for you. Yeah.
What do you, when you say that living with purpose, what does that all encompass for Henrietta? What does that encompass for you?
Sometimes when you hear the word living with purpose, it sounds like it's got to be some sort of big global movement, right? Where we're going to make such a humongous change. But honestly, like, what does it feel like when you get up in the morning? Are you paying attention to the very moment when you wake up? What is the first thought that you're having? How are you feeling when you're lying in bed? Is your bed even made with sheets and things that make you feel good to crawl in and out of? There's a lot of sensory things that I talk about because we've been so disconnected from understanding what our body wants and needs. And our body's talking to us all the time. If we can tune in at a very, I was going to say minute, but it's much bigger than that. Like, it's so focused. And bringing that focus and attention in really draws you into the very present moment. And that's all we have. We hear it from all the great teachers.
Yeah. You know what? Most people hear it, but they don't practice it. I know it's something that we're really big on in the community, obviously teaching about why, like, listen to the whispers of your body. And it's so important because, yeah, I say before you get out of bed, if you can see how you feel and you can check in and you can do your visualizations. And like, I love you said about your sheets, your bed. It's so important to me that when I go to bed, my bed has to make me want to just kind of like, curl. Yeah. It's that warmth. And I love what you were talking about that too, because a lot of times people say, what's my purpose? And I always say it's to be, like, it's just to be, it's to be able to wake up, like you said, and feel just good inside. It doesn't have to be this grandiose. And I love you said that because so many people, they've attached purpose to a grandiose thing that you're creating, but in the end it's not. It's being and it's being whatever that expression is. So if you're feeling called to write poetry or make music or draw,
do that, give it space to do that. And once that creativity has been released from inside of you, it gives you time and space to do the other things that are required of you to get through your day and to experience this humanness. But
and when you can be, it allows you to unfold things. Like, I never really thought I'd get my book done. I'll just say I never did. But when I was able to connect and just be and go, I want to do this for me. Like, great. If someone reads it and it changes their world, awesome. But you write a book more for you in terms of just a release and letting it go and being able to share that. But again, your creativity of things that you thought you couldn't do becomes stronger when you're nurturing and you can be, and that allows other things to show up in your life to be present with. You're right. You got to get so connected inside.
Yeah. And then that leads to the impact that we hear about everywhere. It's not going out and finding the people that you can go and impact. It's showing up as yourself and being yourself every day, that somebody else watches that and witnesses it and says, oh, that has an effect on me. That has inspired me to be able to do. One of my biggest aha moments in Tagalon, and it was in the earlier years, and it still happens now, but it was more in the earlier years when I would sit there, and every entrepreneur knows this. This is like, oh my gosh, should I be doing this? Is this the right thing I should be doing? Who's even watching? Do they even care? And getting a message from this young man who I had met at a festival. We had a great conversation. He had taken some photographs of the booth, of our product, and he was photographing the event. And this is like years later. And I get this message saying, I wanted you to know how much our conversation that we had a few years ago has meant to me. I have been battling with depression and trying to figure out what I'm doing. And I was clearing out my old stuff. And I came across the photos that I took of you and your booth and your product. And it reminded me of the time of what I was doing really well. And it was his photography. So he decided to pick up his camera again and started taking photographs. And that gave him a sense of purpose, of doing the thing that he loved. And it was as simple as his side hobby of taking photographs. And now he's doing photography constantly and loves it.
That's really beautiful. And that's exactly what it is, right? It is it works both ways. Like you said, you were able to inspire him to do what he loves in his creativity. Yeah. And sorry, someone was at my door. It always happens. We're live. Charlie's letting you know. But it is true. How many times has that happened? I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me, and obviously you a lot, where I had those moments like, really, should I keep doing this? Or really, is this the right part? And then all of a sudden you get those emails, or you get those, and you're like, I always say that's God's way or universe's way, whatever people want to whisper in your ear to say, keep going. Because in the core, even though you have those moments where you go, really, if you go down and sit with it for a minute, you're like, well, what else do I do? I love this. I love this. So it's just a blip in the matrix, and you got to be pulled back in. And I love that story, because looking at that got him back on path. And how beautiful. You must have just been beaming. Because to me, those are the most precious emails you ever get, is when someone just says, I had my own aha moment. Thank you. And here I am.
Yeah. It caught me by surprise. I had no idea. And like I said, it was the very first time that had happened, where a message was coming back. And so that also leads me to like the expression of gratitude when something has happened, to let that other person know, because you have no idea how it will land for the person who's receiving it. And it may just come at the very right time when they needed to hear that. So the expression of gratitude and learning to practice that consistently and always, that is impactful in itself and gives purpose.
Yeah, I wrote about gratitude. I love that saying, gratitude's an attitude, but a lot of people don't really fully integrate it. But it is. It's like, I always say to people, if you can take, throughout your day, every hour, stop, like set your watch, and every hour just to remind yourself, like, what am I grateful for right now? So, and you'll find that it won't be just one thing that'll come out. You'll be like, oh my God, I was grateful for this and that. And it just, people tell me just by doing that simple exercise, how much their perception started to change about their day.
Amazing.
So if they were going through their day thinking, oh my God, that was their thinking. And they're like, by just doing that, I realized, wait a minute. So their awareness changed.
Right.
Simple tool.
Yeah.
simple tool, just a reminder, like put on your, everybody's got a phone with them nowadays, put on your phone. There it goes. Those are such inspiring moments. And for all of us to just say, hey, like when you and I were chatting last time, it's like great conversation. Like you just get off the phone and you feel uplifted and you feel, inspired, and you're just like, let's have some more fun. So we decided to play here and, we have fun with technology, but it literally will start to change lives. And I know you see it every day, just those little subtle shifts in what you're thinking or what you're, and acknowledging what you're feeling in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Acknowledging the good and the not so good. Yeah.
I know so many people say to me, you shouldn't feel so bad. I'm like, yeah, you're given emotions for a reason. You're going to go up and down. It's normal. Yeah. It's how you let things out of the body. We said this earlier, eclipse is coming, guys. And every 18 years, crazy things happen, but it happens for your better, right? It happens for better things to come through and good things to happen. So it's cleaning your body, it's cleaning the world, but you might feel a little bit like you're on a roller coaster, and that is okay. That is okay.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations on what we can do if we're not feeling so great this time of year?
Yeah, well, that's why I say gratitude's a good one. Nurture yourself, salt baths, lots of salt scrubs are really good. But like what you do, it's being out in that nature. And really, the more you connect in, what I've noticed, and you've probably seen this, is the less this outside world will affect you. Because even though we're all connected, your vibration will raise higher. Yeah. So this time of year, I do say with a lot of people, because the end of the year brings up a lot of emotions that are not to go into the next year. It brings up a lot of year in review, what's coming next, and to acknowledge your wins for the year, like really acknowledge and just cut the cords and just let everything else sort of just drift away and say, I'm okay with not bringing that into next year. But it's definitely is an interesting time because we've never had, like I said, it's been 18 years, but this energetic shift happening astrologically will probably make people want to just retreat in. That's okay. If you need to watch a good movie, that's okay. A good book, read a good book, that's okay. But really not, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's not a good time to do a lot of interaction. So it is nice that while this eclipse is happening, for people to be home. It really is. Yeah. It's going to serve you big time.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, really big. So what is next on your journey? And what are you planning? I know I'm like, oh my God, top of the hour. What are you seeding? First, where can everybody find your apparel and get to connect with you?
So you can find Tagalon at tagalon.com. We design and print t-shirts that are play on food and garden words. And we use the proceeds to educate children about urban agriculture. So it says things like, don't kill my vibe, this is my jam, cultivate, root down, get dirty. So that's Tagalon, TAGULAN.com. We're getting into a lot of the bigger retail stores. If you have a mom and pop shop boutique in your neighborhood, reach out to us. We'd love to be in those locations. And coming into the new year, what I've learned this past year is these types of conversations of play, love, and magic, and sharing stories of how that shows up in your world. Play to me is purposeful living when aligned to yourself. Love is the medicine. If we're living from a heart space and exuding love, it encourages the transformation of others. And when all of that is happening, it feels like magic every day. And those things are just like, oh, that was a coincidence. Oh, that was strange serendipity thing that just happened. It's like, no, that's the magic. That's the magic that's constantly happening. And those little whispers, like you talked about, it's all magical. And we have access to that, every one of us. So that's coming out, playlovemagic.com. Sign up for conversations, shared conversations, video portals like this one.
Yeah. Well, I love it because we are in such with the new energy coming through, and as we cross over this year, is about people, they're probably going to start surprising themselves at how they'll be able to manifest quicker. Like you said, the miracles, the magics, the play, like it's going to get it's already getting heightened. But as we go into next year to 2025, that's why you're in the perfect place, perfect time. You can see the energy is ramping up. I get chills to this, where people will be like, I just said that. And before they'd say, I said that, and it happened a year ago, but now they'll be like, I said that, and it happened like right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that becomes the norm.
It is. And I love it. If you could leave something for the listeners, because we're going to have all the show notes, you'll see them on YouTube, and we go to 90 stations. But if you could leave something for the listeners that you say that you want them as we head into this holiday season to next year, what would you want to just channel and tell them?
Oh, take time to really rest and really delight in the nourishment of being able to take care of your own well-being just for you.
Yeah. I love that. It's so true. And to just give permission to just slow down. Yeah. Permission to just be, unless you're Charlie, who's now decided to play. 1 second. He's like, I would like to play and be really loud for everybody. Sorry, we're live, guys. That's what happens. There you go, buddy. He's going to play with everything possible that he can find. He's full of love, full of joy. I think, too, your pets, I find, and some people say this, we're doing live here. So here he is running around. And I find for me, I have 3 fur babies. So, 2 cats and a dog. And they bring me so much play and so much fun and so much joy. I was saying this earlier. I have met more people since having Charlie than before. So if anybody hasn't seen him, there he says, hello. But literally, I take him out and people are just joyous and happy. And I think as well, part of getting into that nature with them, right? And just doing things right now that just make you laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Laugh. And I just look and I'm just like, okay, you're having fun. He's playing on the floor. And I'm like, he doesn't care about the world. It's just give me love, give me food. And that should be everybody's motto for this holiday. Give me food, give me love, let me laugh, let me have fun. And just watch your childlike shows, right? I was saying the other day, I was at an appointment and we were laughing because they said, when's the last time they've made really good Christmas shows like Charlie Brown and The Grinch and It's a Wonderful Life, these unique ones, right? They've all been like, oh, I'm lonely. Oh, I want to find somebody. They meet in a week and they get married. Like that. No, where are the good ones? You can watch and make you feel like a kid again.
Yeah, that's right. And all those comforts. And if you're not sure what they are, just try them. If that looks interesting to you, try it. If those fuzzy socks looks like something you want to put on your feet, try it. Until you get into the habit of finding the things that you really delight in. Take this time now. There's no rush in it. And the holiday season is a great time because everyone is not at work. We're taking the time off, and worldly conditions have us resting as well. So play, enjoy, have wonder.
Play and be a kid and let your imagination go and just do it. I think that's the thing that we should. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you for bearing with all the technical issues. I don't know what was going on my internet. I was talking about the book and there we go, but we made it through. I had to change locations, but we made it through. So thank you. I will have all of your details below as well. I hope everybody listening, you'll reach out to Henrietta. She's doing amazing things. So, and if you're I know we have a lot of listeners out in BC, so you can actually connect right with her there too as well, and all over the world for her incredible t-shirts. And, and I think you do custom stuff quickly too, don't you?
Yes, we do. We do special collaborations with Brands Alignment. So if you're
doing some fun stuff together, 2021, as things are changing in our community too. So thank you again so much. I am so happy to have you here, and I wish you the best over the holiday season.
Likewise.
And everybody else, I can't wait to see you over the next few weeks. We are going to be doing some replays as I am taking a little bit of a needed rest. So again, check out, hopefully we don't blip again, but God, Where Are You? It's Me book on Amazon. It is live. Canada, US Kindle version is coming soon. Great Christmas present. Great way to get inspired, play, chill out. And you're going to get a lot of shifting. So enjoy it. Have an incredible week, everyone. And we will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Tracy L. Clark Show with me, Tracy L., where I teach you how to connect to the God consciousness so you can unlock your superpowers and connect at light speed and live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where together we will unlock the secrets of your body and your life. As the founder of the Body Regeneration Academy, I, Tracy L., will provide you with the insight and simple tools you can apply right now in your life to move you forward and leave the past in the dust. To join the Body Regeneration TLC Online Academy, make sure you check me out at tracylclark.com.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.